crisis rocking the Rivers State House of Assembly took a new twist on Monday, December 11, 2023, as 27 of the 32 lawmakers believed to be loyal to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike announced their defection to the All Progressives Congress on the floor of the House. Martins Amewule, who is the Speaker of the group, begins the day's proceedings by reading out his own letter addressed to the Deputy Speaker of his group before going ahead to state the reason for the defection of 27 other lawmakers from his group.
I write to bring to the attention of this August Assembly my decision to leave the People's Democratic Party, PDP. This decision to leave the PDP is manifested by the division in the People's Democratic Party, of which I was elected to this House. In particular, the tussle around who the National Secretary of the PDP is has now sharply divided the party and made it unclear as to who is the National Secretary of the party, thereby making it difficult for me to chart an appropriate communication channel. The reason for the defection by the 27 members of this House are purely in line with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as altered, specifically Section 109. And the condition for defection is division in the party. And there's clearly division in the People's Democratic Party. There are court processes as evidence, because the Constitution is also seeking for evidence, and the evidence is clear. All the court processes are hereby attached by all the members, and it is before the House, and the House has already before this time deliberated on all the issues in the PDP, and we feel that it is sufficient division, and for that reason, members have the choice to move to the All Progressive Congress, as already indicated in these letters.
Meanwhile, the caretaker chairman of the Rivers APC, Mr. Tony Okocha, welcomes the defection, adding that a special ceremony will be held to unveil the 27 lawmakers who are now members of his party.
We commend the defectors, the assembly members. You see, 27 persons, 27 members cannot equate with 4. And if the governor of the state, who heads the executive arm of government in Rivers State, had decided to lend vent or give vent to the 4 persons over and above 27 persons, then you know that there is a complete anathema. It is not a thing anybody we want to tolerate.
Elsewhere, the defection continues to elicit reaction, with one of the prominent voices in Rivers State pointing out how this development will affect the budgeting process.
Because the moment there was the National Working Committee dissolving the state ESCO of the APC and then having someone that is loyal to former Governor Wike as the chairman of the party, I saw this coming, and more defections are going to come in the days ahead. And then you look at the State Executive Council, they have sat down to approve 800 billion as the appropriation bill for 2024. Now that is going to the State Assembly. Who are the people that control the Assembly? It is now the APC. So you are going to have a system whereby that bill may not be passed, and then the governor may not be able to work, and that is the beginning of the possibility of the resumption of the impeachment process that was thwarted as a result of the intervention of some elders in Rivers State.
The gale of defections is coming barely 24 hours after some SDP and APC members announced their defection to the PDP. Charles, Upper Room, Channels Television News.
All right, so that is what we're going to start off with here today on the program. We've got Mr. Joe Johnson, Commissioner for Information, Rivers State, as well as Honorable Enemy George, who is the Chairman, House Committee on Public Petition. They both join us virtually this morning. And here in the studios, we've got Mr. Monday Ubani, former Chairman, Section of Public Interest and Development, that's SPDL for the NBA, and former Second Vice President of the NBA. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Enemy George and Joe Johnson as well. So let's start from both of you there on this particular matter. Perhaps I should go to Mr. Johnson. So how is the Rivers State government, How are they responding to this defection of members who were in PDP now to the APC? Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll get Mr. Johnson much later. But Mr. Enemy George, who is Chairman House Committee on Public Petition. So this action, yes, the Speaker read out a notice citing division in the party. But could you give us a background? Is it that these were irreconcilable differences, or after the meeting that held over the weekend in Port Harcourt, that was when this decision was taken?
Good morning, Chamberlain. I'm very glad to be here. First, I'm here as Chairman House Committee on Information. When and how the decision was taken is not important. What's important is that 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly came together and decided to move to the APC. And the reasons that we have given are very clear. There's a strong division in our party. When the secretariat of our party is dysfunctional, when we don't even know who the secretary of the PDP at the national level is, when efforts to establish correspondences with our party's secretariat proves futile, then it leaves us no choice. That shares a clear division in our party. So we had no choice to move to the APC. And then come to think of it, it's common knowledge that we voted for Mr. President. If we found him good enough to vote for him, if we keyed into the Renewed Hope agenda even when he was not president, now that he's president, why not join him and fulfill his campaign promises? Why not work with him to change the fortunes of Nigeria, especially at a time as difficult as this? So if we found him worthy to vote for him, I think we should find him worthy to be on the same side of history with him and work close with him as he tries to transform, as he tries to change the fortunes of Nigerians. So we're indeed very happy that we took that decision.
Do we expect the Minister of FCT to follow suit?
Well, Chamberlain, I'm an adult citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The 27 members of the House of Assembly are adults, celebrated politicians who work hard and want to represent their people. A lot of them ranking members. I'm doing my third term in the House of Assembly as I speak. So I think I can take my own decisions. I can't speak for the Minister of FCT, sincerely. He's still a member of the PDP. If he chooses to be there, that's okay. He's a political leader of the state. The man has grown beyond party level. He's the political leader of Rivers State as we speak. So wherever he thinks will help him add value to the system, wherever he thinks will help him add value to what Mr. President is doing, whatever he thinks will help him add value to the development of Rivers State, so be it. I sincerely cannot speak for him. I've spoken to myself and then for my colleagues.
Well, it's understandable if you won't, preempt or say that, because if he likes that to happen when it will happen. But I mean, clearly, he would have sanctioned all of these things, because if you all met over the weekend, then you can't take this decision without him saying, all right, good to go.
No, we had our own issues. We don't need His Excellency former governor of Rivers State and the Minister of FCT to sanction anything. Chamberlain, put yourself in my shoes. We have been in the eyes of the storm in the past few weeks. For crying out loud, the hallowed chambers of the Rivers State House of Assembly, the temple of democracy in Rivers State, was burnt down to ashes. Has been incredible. The official residence of the Speaker of the 10th Assembly of Rivers State, Right Honorable Batna Mewole, was brutally, viciously attacked by hired thugs. Lives of members have been threatened individually and collectively. My party did not speak. As I speak to you, nobody from the PDP National has even reached out to say, guys, what is going on in Rivers State? How do we come in? How safe are you guys? Nobody to this moment. I challenge anybody to tell me that they came forward, they reached out to us, or even spoke out. Chamberlain, you are a media man, you are a journalist, you are a press man. You've been concerned about Rivers State. But the party I called my party, or I called my party, was never concerned, was never bothered, never came through, never spoke to anybody. Efforts to reach them were efforts in futility. What do you expect us to do? Of course, I'll go to where I'll have protection. I'll go to where I can add value. I'll go to where I can be seen. I'll go to a place that is organized. And so we came together. Yes, go ahead.
Why did, because I mean, some of these matters, there were different court orders from both parties on this matter. So that gave the impression that both parties want this matter resolved, having gone to court. And now, this action. So doesn't that...
Chamberlain, yeah. I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry. When you say parties, please, what parties are we referring to, please?
Parties are groups. The House of members in the House, the Speaker, and then you also have interest in Rivers State House of Assembly.
There is no faction in the Rivers State House of Assembly. The Rivers State House of Assembly is made up of 32 members. We've lost one of our dear colleagues, and that makes us 31. 27 members cannot be on one side. Then you call 4 members who had been suspended, a faction. You know, there's a lot of mistruth out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Look at it, Timberlane. You suspend 4 members of the House of Assembly, and then they go out there and then call themselves a faction. A faction of where? You've been suspended to be suspended from proceedings. Okay, you say you have your own speaker. Where do 4 people elect a speaker? The House of Assembly cannot function with principal officers. We have 6 principal officers. Where are their principal officers? So I think the press has also enabled them to peddle this mistruth and misinformation. Because the day we suspended them, we had correspondence from Channels TV. We had from TVs, from all the major news outfits. And then the same people will go and report that there's a faction. There's no faction. And again, I also need to correct this impression that there's a court order or any kind of court order stopping the Rivers State House of Assembly from performing its constitutional responsibilities. No, sir. There is none. There is none. As a matter of fact, rather, we have a court order that restricts the executive from interfering with the activities of the House of Assembly. For instance, the court ordered the executive not to tamper with the funds meant for the running of the House of Assembly. But in breach of that order, the executive has gone ahead to stop the funds meant for the running of the House of Assembly. That's the highest level of abuse of power. That's an abuse on the intendment of the Constitution, Section 4 of the Constitution 1999 as altered, Section 5 and Section 6, which gives us clear horizontal separation of powers, which makes all 3 arms of government equal, which makes none superior to the other one. So what is going on is the executive trying to bully the legislature into submission, trying to cow the legislature, trying to suppress the legislature, trying to repress the legislature. And it's fine, because I think in due time, the law would take its course. We have a ground norm, which is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is our funds et origo. And then the Constitution tells us how to do what. Our concern is to follow strictly the prescriptions and the dictates of the Constitution. And so we're not bothered, we're unfettered.
Well, you know, some people will say that this division, sorry to interrupt you, Honorable George, but some people will say these divisions which you cite are a bit controversial because the PDP at the national level, at least there is one spokesperson whom we know and, you know, whose statements are usually read as a response to matters like this. And he believes, or he has issued a statement saying that all of you who defected from the PDP to the APC have now lost your seats, and that needs to be effected. How that is going to pan out is going to be very interesting to see. But that is the position of the PDP as at today. They believe that there is no division within the party, and that you have taken this decision willy-nilly, and as such, you should face the consequences.
I think there are two issues here. First of all, that spokesperson is misinformed and does not know the law. Secondly, there's a clear division in our party. We have 2 court cases, more than 2 court cases, but there are two principal ones. One in Abuja about the secretaryship of the PDP, and one in Lagos. What more division can you even call division? I'm telling you that We tried desperately to establish correspondence with the secretariat of our party. And it was an effort in futility. As I speak to you, not even you can tell me who the secretary at the national level of the People's Democratic Party is. Haba. What more division are you looking for? And again, I'm glad that finally a spokesperson found his voice to speak. I said to you earlier, we've been in the eyes of the storm. The spokesperson did not speak. The party did not speak. The party did not come through. I've said to you, the hallowed chambers, the temple of democracy in Rivers State, in an unprecedented manner, was burnt down. The spokesman did not speak. Our party did not come through. Our party did not even, as much as ask, what is going on in Rivers State? Or maybe try to put in some internal dispute resolution mechanisms to try to settle the issue. Nobody. Nobody. So I'm glad.
Sorry to interrupt you once more.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Yes. Yeah, no. I said yesterday when I was granting an interview that they say laughing at infirmity and deformity is ignominy. So I would not laugh at anyone. But I'm in awe as to how suddenly a voiceless voice can suddenly find its voice when it's not even necessary. So I'm not important to you. As a member of your party, I was brutally attacked. I was almost killed. The Hallowed Chambers was burnt down. As a principal member of the People's Democratic Party, you did not speak. I have moved on, and you finally find your voice. I'll be shocked if that spokesperson can sit here on this station, on this program, and speak to these issues. He should be so embarrassed that he will not even come up on this show.
Honorable Judge, are you saying then that it is okay? It is okay because from the look of things now, you claim that all the other four members, the remaining four members who did not defect with you, have been suspended. Are you saying then that it is okay for the Rivers State House of Assembly to be a one-party house? Is that what you're saying?
My sister, we were a one-party house before now when we were all in the PDP. And so, if we move to the APC, we're still a one-party house. We've been like that for so many years. Look, what is important is what benefits, what cauldron of benefits we can scoop for our constituents. What's important is the collective interest of Rivers people. What party I find myself to bring those benefits is absolutely not important. The Rivers man on the streets of Port Harcourt, on the streets of Buguma, on the streets of Krakrama does not care what party I am. He wants to know what value I can add to my constituency. He wants to know what I can do to better the fortunes of Rivers people. And then I think that
you think you'll be able to do that if you do not work with the governor of Rivers State?
I didn't get you, please.
Do you think you'll be able to deliver good governance and impact the lives of the people who voted you if you do not work with the current governor of the state?
Look, you see, we must never forget the intendments of the Constitution, which is our fons et origo, which is our ground norm. The intendment of the Constitution is that the three arms of government will be separate and function independently. There's justice in the system when the three arms of government function harmoniously but independently, where one arm does not interfere with the activities of the other arm. When these three arms, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, function effectively and independently, then there will be justice, then there will be development, then there will be governance. So it's not, I wasn't sent here, the Constitution did not say I should be best friends with the executive arm of government. The Constitution says, legislation, go and perform your tripartite responsibility of legislation, representation, and oversight.
All right.
The Constitution says, hey, executive, go and perform your duty to execute the laws as so made by the House of Assembly. Judiciary, please go and interpret and enforce the laws. Provided we're working within the confines and prescriptions and dictates of the Constitution, my dear sister, my dear brother, we have no problem. Development will come, and the interest of Rivers State will still be at
okay. Just hang on a minute. We've got Mr. Ubani here, who is a lawyer. Good morning again, and thank you for joining us this morning. So this particular matter, first of all, these orders that we've seen in the court, does this movement from one party to the other by parties who have been in court invalidate the proceedings, as it were?
The proceedings in court?
Or the orders that were given?
No. The orders are specifically targeted at some of the defendants. that the parties took to court, asking for a restraining order against any interference in their legislative function. If you look at the two orders, the first one was by the majority members, the 27 members, which my brother has mentioned. I think they went to court in Abuja to get an order, not allowing any interference in their legislative function by any other agency. Senate was joining this suit. Remember that the Constitution allows the takeover of the Legislative Assembly of the state, where it appears that they are not practically performing their responsibility. The Constitution has made that provision, but what they did now is to preempt, that situation, and they went to court and got a restraining order that there shouldn't be any interference, including the issue of their finances, of the running of the house, that there shouldn't be any stoppage whatsoever. And they got the order. It was made ex parte. Then the other four factions also went to court, but this time around at a federal high court in Port Harcourt. And then they joined the other speaker, and then they joined the police, also asking that they should not also be interfered with, in their legislative function. And they demanded several other reliefs, but those orders were denied. The court denied granting those orders, rather made an order that parties should be put on notice, and then went ahead and said that the issue of maintaining status quo should be sustained, that there shouldn't be anything done to interfere in the legislative function. So as I speak to you now, both parties are parading valid orders of the court.
So, having gone through some of these orders, but now, for those who are asking that their seats be declared vacant, citing Section 1, and I would, the Speaker himself also cited while he was making that announcement, how valid is their quest?
The issue is that it's a factual situation. If you want to defect, in accordance with the provision of the Constitution, it says you must show the reason why you are doing this, and the only reason that the Constitution allows is that there must be crisis within your political party. In other words, it's only even the Legislative Assembly that the Constitution made a provision for them to advance reasons why they must defect to another political party. The executive and others, the Constitution was very silent. So if you want to defect from one political party to another, as a member of Legislative Assembly, you must cite the reason why you are doing this. And the reason only allowed is that there must be crisis within your political party. So it's a factual situation. Wow. The court will examine it. Are there really, is there a crisis within your political party? If there is, then you have the right to defect. But if there is none, the court will make a pronouncement as to whether you should vacate your seat. It's a factual situation.
Given what we've seen over the years, because this is not the first time this sort of crisis is happening in any House of Assembly, and even at the National Assembly, where elected members on the floor of the National Assembly have cited divisions within their party. Do you think it is important that these sort of what a division will mean should be clearly spelled out? Because we've heard right now from one of the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly what he believes, and given examples of why he believes that the PDP is currently divided.
Yes. It's clearly a bit amorphous now. If you look at the provision, it's a crisis. That crisis was not defined. What constitutes a crisis? To what extent or what degree, would there be, problem within a political party before you can now term it to be a crisis that can allow members now to defect? So it's very amorphous. It's not clearly stated. And that's the reason why any small crisis within a political party, any member can catch in on that and say, look, gentlemen, there are crises within my political party, so I have a right to make a movement. So I think that your suggestion is something that we should look into. It should be clearly defined what at any point in time should constitute a crisis. Or maybe by judicial pronouncement. The courts can also help, because not everything actually should be in a law book. Mm-hmm. The law cannot make provision for every detail. But by virtue of practice or going to court to challenge some of the provisions of the law, the court by judicial precedent can establish, what actually constitute, crisis within a political party that can authorize a movement. That can also be done. But we can also use the law, the legislative enactment to clarify some of these crises and avoid things like this, But as I said earlier, what I want to say concerning judicial intervention in political cases is that I don't want judiciary to be rubbished by politicians. As much as possible, let the court try as much as possible to remain neutral. Politicians will play their role or whatever they do in the country and all that, but judiciary should not be, used as an institution. Most times in these ex parte orders, we said that the court should avoid, unless it is very exceptional, to grant ex parte order. As much as possible, let them try to insist that the other party should be put on notice. Because if that has been done in this case now, we won't have this issue of conflict. Two orders now, being paraded by parties, all insisting that they have valid orders. The court could have solved that problem and said, gentlemen, go and put the other person on notice. I want to hear why I should not make this particular restraining order. So in that instance, by that pronouncement, it solved the problem once and for all. But when you begin to entertain ex parte orders most time, it creates confusion in the system. Now, which one will the police obey? Because police they are all joined, they are joining this suit, so they will be having problem as to obedience. Which one? You have this order saying the other one says I should stand attention, the other one says I should be restrained and all that. So that conflict can be avoided by issue of putting parties on notice so that it can solve the problem once and for all. That's my position here.
All right, let's go to our colleagues in Lagos.
Okay, thank you, Chamberlain. Mr. Ubani, still on judicial intervention. Let's take a look at Section 109, subsection 1G, particularly the second paragraph. Provided, the condition, for a House of Assembly member losing their seat, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of division in the political party of which he was previously a member of. You're saying that the Constitution does not clearly state what a crisis would be. But if we cast our minds back to events of about 3 weeks ago, where the governor wanted to go and, see things for himself following the arson on the State Assembly and he was shot at, are you saying that besides that, let's also look at what has been termed the seeming division between the governor and his predecessor? Are you saying that this doesn't constitute a crisis that will warrant the defection of the 27 State Assembly members?
It has to be the substance of confusion or crisis within the political party, not that there is a situation where the governor was attacked when he went to do an inspection, when he was an inspection tour, and then maybe some thugs, shot at him or did anything that is considered untoward. Then that should be regarded as something that can be described as division within the political party. No, that cannot be. Or that the present governor is disagreeing with his godfather, becomes a good ground for you now to say that there is a division within the political party. That no, it must be something that is substantial, that is affecting the political party as an entity. If you look at the political party, they are clearly in disarray. There is real division in the real sense of that word, affecting the political party as an entity. Not that there are differences between political individuals.
But Mr. Ubani,
just as you have mentioned.
But Mr. Ubani, it's the individuals that make up the political party, which is an entity. Some of them have cited attacks on, the residence of the speaker. Some of them have cited that, there have been assassination attacks on them. So doesn't that warrant a crisis?
It's not fundamental. You can't describe that the Speaker's house was attacked as crisis within the political party per se. That cannot be a proper description. I'm saying that for you to regard a crisis within the political party that can authorize individual members to leave that party, citing differences, citing division, must be something that involve the political party as an entity, that where there are crises within the leadership at the national level. Not that the speaker was attacked becomes crisis, giving you reason now for you to defect. Or that a governor went to inspect, a crisis within his state and he's attacked. And that becomes something that should now be linked to the political party, giving reason for you now to defect. No, that cannot be. So I am saying, look at the party itself. Look at the substance of the situation that have created division. It must affect the political party as an entity. Then you can now probably, as it's a factual situation, the court will look at it and evaluate, this is really crisis within our division that can now warrant individual. But when a governor is being attacked by thugs, it cannot be regarded as crisis within a political party that should warrant, for you to defect.
As much as I'd like to stretch that, I'd want to manage our time by, asking other questions. I'll be coming to Honorable Enemi George, but that will be after the break. Stay with us on Sunrise Daily. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And Honorable Enemi, I'm coming straight to you now. I know that your faction within the State Assembly has been asked this a number of times, but it would seem like we can't ask this question enough. Has this defection been precipitated by what has been termed the seeming feud between former governor of the state and Minister Nyesom Wike and the governor, Siminalayi Fubara?
Thank you. Before I answer that, I think it's important for me to clear an impression. There's this impression that the principal reason for our resignation is because of the attack on the Hallowed Chambers and Mr. Speaker, the attack from Mr. Speaker. No, we should isolate the issues. In my resignation letter that I wrote to Mr. Speaker, in my notice I sent to Mr. Speaker, I attached records from the courts in Lagos and a record from the courts in Abuja concerning the secretaryship tussle of the PDP, and evidence that it was impossible to see who the secretary of the PDP is as we speak. The most essential organ of the party is the secretariat. And when the secretariat is dysfunctional and inaccessible, that means that there is a crisis. There's no crisis that is more than that. That's on the one hand. Secondly, my dear brother, who I have a lot of respect for in the studio, spoke about 2 court orders. No. These are materially different issues. The court order from the 4 guys says maintain status quo. What is status quo? They went to court to be declared that this and that, and the court denied all their prayers and said, go back and maintain status quo. The court in Abuja says that, hey guys, don't interfere with the constitutional responsibility of these people. Executive, allow them to function. Oh, National Assembly, allow them. They say a toad does not run in the daytime for nothing. There are reasons for those steps that were taken. So those two issues are materially different. Okay, so there's no mix-up in this, and I felt I should clear that impression. Secondly, you asked about the feud between the FCT minister and the governor, as some will say, father and son. That's, if there is at all, that's where it is. We're talking about legislative issues. We're talking about decisions of 27 members of the House of Assembly from the perspective of the individual and from a collective perspective of 27 members who have formed this very strong bond. That's our decision. We're adults. For crying out loud, I'm doing my 3rd tenure in the Rivers State House of Assembly. I have very respected colleagues, very celebrated politicians, very forthright and dependable, who can take their own decisions. The minister, as of today, is a member of the People's Democratic Party. I cannot speak for him. I agree that he's the political leader of Rivers State as presently constituted. I agree that a lot of us rode this high in our political growth because of the support he gave to us and because of the platform he gave to us. It's father to all of us, including the governor. But I cannot speak for him. If he feels that where he is, being the PDP will help him, that man's interest always is the development of Rivers State and how much he can attract development to our state. His passion right now is to add value to the renewed hope agenda that Mr. President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is focused on. If he feels that he can get his full expression in the PDP, if he feels that that's where he can be able to do all he hopes to do, then I have no issues with that. So I don't want to preempt him. He has his own decisions. We've had no communication as regards that.
But Honorable George, do you deny that your faction is loyal to Minister Nyesom Wike? And you in fact stated when you talked about the reason for your defection that after all you voted for the current president, Bola Tinubu, during the presidential election.
Yes. And I'm going to ask you a question. Is there any politician in Rivers State as presently constituted that is not loyal to His Excellency the FCT Minister? Is the governor of the state right now not loyal to the FCT minister? Are members of other parties not loyal to him? So that's not the issue at all. 27 members, of course, are loyal to our boss. I just told you that that's the political father of Rivers State. Everybody, including the governor, is loyal to our political leader. So that has nothing to do with field or no field. These are isolated issues. These are isolated issues. So nobody should tie our decision. If it was really connected, maybe you will have seen the FCC minister moving with us at the same time, and then the so-called other loyalists. But how come it's just us, the assembly members? I've told you the issues. The principal issue is the division in the PDP. But there are other attendance matters. But what made me raise that issue was the fact that the PDP could finally speak. I'm in shock. I'm in awe. Because if a responsible party would have tried to intervene in the crisis that we've had in the States, there's been this back and forth between the executive and the legislature, who are all members of the PDP. I tell you, my sister, I challenge anybody to give me one evidence that the PDP tried to intervene in this issue. And then suddenly they find their voices. Oh my God. I am still in awe.
All right, well,
still in absolute awe.
Honorable, there are a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you, but let me quickly take this back to Mr. Ubani. Well, Mr. Ubani, you may want to respond to the issues he raised in your response earlier, in your comments earlier, that there are two substantive cases, and he said that there are two completely different issues. How do you respond to that?
No, the point is that there are two others, the two cases that I have here. I hope you're hearing me. There are two cases. There is one that was instituted by the majority speaker. That one, I think, is in Abuja, where they asked for restraining orders, and all their requests were actually granted. Now, there is this other one that took place in Port Harcourt, Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, where the four-man members of the House also asked for restraining orders against their legislative duties, so that they shouldn't be disturbed and all that. So the court now denied them, and he's right with that. But the court went ahead and said, look, I am making an order for the other parties to be put on notice, and then that all parties, especially the defendants that are affected in this particular suit, should maintain status quo. They should maintain status quo. So that is an order of the court. That is what I mean by that. Okay. So I don't think we are disagreeing. We are saying that there are two cases now that are pending before the Federal High Court. I don't know whether there are return dates, in this matter. I've not seen the return date. But the point is that I don't want the judiciary to be involved in the political affairs, political parties. They should not get involved. What they can only do most time when they come with these ex parte applications is to ask the parties to be put the other party on notice. Let me hear all of you, and then make an order once and for all. So avoid a situation where people will not be clinging to one ex parte order and want to make it look as if it's a perpetual order for which now they can now use in order to cause a lot of confusion within the system. So there are two orders. He agreed there are two cases, and the court made an order in one, restraining. The other one refused, but made an order of maintaining status quo. So I think they are valid orders of the court. That's what I'm trying to say. And also on the issue of whether there is crisis, as I said earlier, he has mentioned the issue of secretaryship within the political party. The secretary is a very major organ of, a very important party member, and then he is a very important organ within the political party. So if there are issues in court and order, he has cited it as something that would have made them now to say, look, we don't have anyone we're communicating with within the political party. There is total confusion, and so we have a right. And so politicians always want to find one reason or the other for them to move to another political. So they have found a reason with crisis within the secretary position and say this is crisis within the political party and division, and for that reason we are moving. As I said earlier, it's a factual situation. The court will look at all that.
We'll get to those other issues, Mr. Ubani. Yeah, but one thing, let's look forward for a bit, back and then forward. There have been cases in this country, Mr. Ubani, where legislators I hope you can hear me. Legislators that are less than half the number of members of the House of Assembly governed the state House of Assembly for a number of, for quite some time, perhaps even until the tenure of that particular assembly expired. Now we have something similar to that. Do you see the same situation playing itself out? The Edo State example, for instance, is still quite fresh in the minds of many, and that's not the only one that we've had in our recent history. So what do you see happening in this case?
You see, we always preach against situations like this, because if you really want to follow the law, there are requisites, there is a provision in the law, even in their own rule, internal rule, the number that should constitute majority at every point in time in their sitting. The rules are there. Now, if you look at a member house of 31, and then 27 is on one side and 4, there is no way 4 can actually constitute a proper, sitting. And that is the truth, legally speaking. 27, of course, we have, the requisite majority within which they can sit at every point in time. But 4 members cannot in any way. But you see, it is a crisis we must always try to avoid. And that's why the Constitution says where there is this problem, the National Assembly comes in order to take over the legislative function of the State House of Assembly, especially now that we are in the era of budgeting. The state now will suffer. Where 2 elephants fight, the grass suffers. So I think the political leaders in Rivers at this juncture should see this as a very big problem for the state, especially when it concerns the issue of governance. The citizens have elected their representative for good governance, and they're not getting it now in the light of this crisis. So they can come together, bury their hatchet, bury their differences, and say, gentlemen, we cannot allow this. We are matured men and women. We shouldn't allow this to continue to happen because it is detrimental to the progress of our state. So it's not something that should prescribe. But whatever it is, majority is really on the other side, and that is the truth. And they have the law, clearly on their side.
Do you also see a situation where, because of course you heard that the House of Assembly has already made a pronouncement as far as they are concerned, the governor shouldn't hold their funds. Do you see a situation, maybe legally speaking or not, where the governor indeed, as they are claiming, hold their funds, and that's the funds of the House of Assembly in Rivers State? Do you see it happening?
Normal thing under the law is that the governor should release their funds. It shouldn't even be under the control of if we follow the Constitution strictly. We know there has been this issue of provision in the Constitution that both judiciary and the legislative should remain independent. I mean, in terms of even their funding, even in terms of getting their money, it shouldn't go through the executive. But we have a situation where the governors of the state control virtually all the other arms of government, And now the governor felt, I can't fund my enemies. I can't give them money in order for them to use to fight me. So the only way to do that is to deny them. This is politics. But legally speaking, their money should not in any way be tampered with by another arm of government, going by the provisions of the Constitution. Okay. But this is politics. This is politics. And naturally, every person will not want to empower his enemy. So what he's doing now is to deny them funding. But legally speaking, that is absolutely wrong.
Now, when you spaded the issue of the politics of this, let me ask you this question, and I hope you can even speak to it at all. Now, given the question Bukola asked earlier, the kind of discord, call it a tiff, between the governor of Rivers State today and the former governor who is the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. Do you see a situation where that people describe as the voice of Esau, the voice of Jacob, the hand of Esau in this matter?
The truth of the matter is that the godfather and the godson, are having political differences. And then if you remember that the president of the country at the time in this matter had to intervene, he called them to Aso Rock, and everyone felt, that this matter would have been resolved. Everyone may not be like Godswill Akpabio, who installed the godson, and when there was, problem between, he stood up. He stood out and said, look, I'm not going to get involved, and left the man to run his administration for 8 solid years. there are those who may not want such a thing. And of course, Wike has also said, look, you can't invest, allow somebody probably to rubbish your investment. That's why, but what is the level of interference? There are some godsons that can allow some level of interference. There are those who would not allow much interference. So the truth of the matter today, as I speak, is that there is political difference between the godson and the godfather. Okay. But how both of them can really play mature politics and come together and say, gentlemen, it is in the interest of the people. Let's not probably, carry this fight to the extent of, injuring the citizens we are representing. Everyone will say, maybe Wike is now at the national level. FCT minister, a big job. Allow the governor whom you have probably put. Everyone knows that you are the one who put him there to actually carry out his responsibility. But not every godfather may want to allow that to happen. Everyone may not be gospel like that. So all right, I think he wants to be involved in what goes on in the state. Okay, let me quickly ask Mr. George, Honorable George. Nobody should deny it. Yeah, let me quickly ask Honorable George this one question. And the issue, the situation that you have cited is that of division in the PDP. How prolonged is that matter of the division in the PDP, which you cited in your correspondence to the Speaker? Because in your response to my colleague here, you have said that the differences between the governor and his predecessor have nothing to do with this. If that is the case, how prolonged is this matter that it now has to fall at a time when there is a difference within the governor and his predecessor?
You see, my brother, the same confusion that makes you ask this question is the same confusion that makes us live. How prolonged is it? Please, if you can help me answer the question, help me. We don't know how long that will last. We don't know. We're not even seeing, and we're not even seeing an end in sight. There's no end in sight. They are at different courts. I think more than two, but I'm sure of two. I was able to get records from the Abuja court and from the Lagos court. I understand there's one in Enugu, and then there are a lot of issues all over the place. You can't even measure the depth of the issues. So it's absolutely confusing, and so that's why we have taken the stance that we have taken. For the other one, I don't know, whatever you want to. It's left for you as a pressman. I understand that you will do a lot of investigative journalism, so you can further investigate and ask yourself why the coincidence. I'm just going to isolate the issues, and I'm giving you. I like to speak according to law. I like to speak within the confines of what the law allows me. You've asked me the reasons for my defection, and I've tried to restrict myself to constitutional provisions. What the Funds Ex Origo allows me to do, what the Conundrum allows me to do. And like I cited in my letter to Mr. Speaker, that's what it is. Well, I've stated the part of the Constitution that allows me to do that. I've said the reasons that I perceive to be to be division that nobody in his right senses can deny. The most functional organ of the party, I keep saying it, is the Secretariat. When the Secretariat is dysfunctional, if for months I cannot reach my party, I write a letter, I don't know where it is going to. Please, what more can be defined as division? The party is divided into two.
Yeah, pardon me. Honorable, we'll come back to you in a bit. But we've got Comrade Mao Nangi-Obu, who is the Secretary General of Ijoyu Congress. He joins us as well to weigh in on this subject matter.
My brother Mao.
Yeah, good morning and thank you for joining us this morning, Mao. So could you tell us, watching all of these things playing out in the States, how are you
good to see you.
handling this?
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know if I'm audible enough.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I wasn't really prepared. Okay. But basically, my name is Mao Nangi-Obu, and I'm the Secretary General of the Ijoyu Youth Council worldwide. Fortunately for me, the young man there speaking is my brother and friend, and the particular person representing me in the River State House of Assembly, Honorable Enemy George. Now, we're not here to bandy words. I'm not in his political party. They've always known me to be on the other side. I'm for the people. Now, the truth is, we have what we call representative democracy. My brother and friend, Enemy, this will be your third term in office. And you've never for any day called us for anything called what is it called, town hall, to tell us what's going on in the Rivers State House of Assembly. First of all, I voted for you, I campaigned for you, I spent my money for you because I felt you were going to represent us properly. Now you have defected to another party. There are issues in the Rivers State House of Assembly. You've never called us, Ashaitor constituency, two people, for us to now reason with you to say, okay, this is the way to go. You don't represent yourself. So can you also tell the world how and why you arrived at this very position? For example, you are at liberty to go to any party, whether HIV party, PDP. I have never been to any party or belong to any party. But the truth is, why have you guys just taken this step? Could it be bolder step? Could it be for self-aggrandizement? Could it be that you are pursuing something? Then number two, I am not for the governor, but what has the governor really done? Can you guys tell us what's going on? Because you have not told us. You are my rep in that House of Assembly. So can you just speak to the world as we're here today? You know, let everybody hear the reason that you said you've written, you know, to the speaker, whether speaker or no speaker. But let's hear from you, please.
Honorable George, well, since he's put a question, we're going to take, go ahead and respond to that before we come to the next item.
Okay, it's good to see my younger brother Mao in the studio. He's one young man that I've always liked and encouraged. So I think he's really doing well in his endeavors. I just said here that he's not a politician. He's also
VP of NBA. Gentlemen, thank you all for your time today. All right, well, back in just a moment. Stay on with us.